Hello, everybody. Welcome to my Brain Talk Tuesday. This is Danielle, and I am an LCSW and a Doctor of Clinical Psychology student. I should be getting my doctorate done next year. I'm very excited about that. So I'm way less online, doing like interaction on comments and all that stuff. So thank you for your understanding with that, but I do like to go back and read your comments and I like them. But other than that, I'm just really focused on getting my homework done, which takes a lot. So I'm going to share with you actually today my research paper that I just finished, and it was called Psychoneuroimmunology and Child Sexual Abuse. But for this purposes, I've called it Holistic Treatment and Holistic Approach to Child Sexual Abuse. So it was really interesting to do a research paper on something that I'm very interested in, also have had experience in as a child. So I find it enlightening as you get older and you gain more awareness on what's going on with you. And I want people to know that there is absolute hope for overcoming whatever challenges you have. I have this blanket, and I washed it the other day with some other towels and stuff, and it's this bright, like coral pink orange blanket. And I washed it. It was the biggest mistake because it got all over my clothes, like all over. I washed it with some towels and stuff, all over. The fuzzies came in. It was just stuck. It took me hours to sit, and I had to pick off every single little fuzz ball that was on it, and including my dryer balls that were in there were covered with this fuzz. So it took me a long time to pick that off. And I just want you to know that with challenges and issues in our life, it may be like, I kind of thought of it like the same thing with this blanket. It may take you many years to kind of pick off all the layers of that fuzz and that stuff that's just stuck on you, but it does come off. And then you throw the blanket away. And that's really what this is about, is that no matter what it is, you can heal. I see there's some people joining me on Facebook Live. For those of you who are watching the live or the recorded, hello, and please say hi. And Sarah says she's a sexual abuse intervention counselor. Oh yeah, for sure. So I'm actually going to post my paper in a blog pretty soon here. I just have to adjust a few things for compliance reasons. But yes, would love to say hello to you, so please join. And when my blog comes up, I'll post it here for you guys. So I'm going to get started, and just so you guys know, any questions and things that you may have, you can put them in the comments. Because I'm in my doctorate full time, I'm not able to go back and respond to everything. If you want to get started with my psychoaromatherapy training, it's a training for anybody. I particularly kind of set it up for therapists, but parents, anybody can take it. And if you already order essential oils, you can do the $14 psychoaromatherapy training. If you want to get started and be part of my therapist community where we talk about essential oils and how to help people for the brain, then you can purchase one of the packages and get the training for unlimited access. So that's on my website. And again, it's just psychoaromatherapy training. So look forward to connecting with you through that too. All right, everybody, I'll get started here on the subject. So child sexual abuse, as you guys probably know, is a growing worldwide problem. It's not specific to one area, and at least one in every child, this is the statistic they have right now, is sexually abused. However, they really believe it's higher due to so many unreported cases. So just so you know, it's not. You probably think, well, I thought it was 1 in every 3, and that's what I thought it was, but that's what they estimate because it's so many unreported cases. So the definition of child sexual abuse is the involvement of a child in a sexual activity that he or she does not fully comprehend and is unable to provide informed consent. So this is obviously pertains to children, but also pertains to those who have maybe mental disabilities like learning disabilities or mental retardation. I'm not sure if there's a new name for that now, but that's what we used to call it in the diagnostic manual. Okay, so risk factors for those that have been child sexual abuse. Now, this sometimes depends upon the severity, the length of it, like how long it lasted in their lives, or the trauma of it. So really, there's so many different risk factors, but depend on the situation. Sometimes it depends on if it's a close trusted member of the family or if it's total stranger. There's different effects, but they range. So there's risk factors that include that there's clinical risk factors, there's developmental personality, that you develop this type of personality from it, and then emotional belief systems that develop from child sexual abuse. So psychoneuroimmunology was what the course that I just took, and I just finished and got an A. Woo woo, thank you. It's the effects of the emotions and thoughts and things like that on the brain have on the immune system of the body, which in turn affects your health. So it's really the mind-body connection is the short reason to explain it. But psychoneural, right? So the way the neurochemicals fire and actually suppress your immune system, which then causes an array of issues in the body. Now, if you joined or watched my YouTube or Facebook Live video, and I just did a blog for March Madness on how anger actually hardens your heart. And you'll see that's one other thing I studied in this psychoneuroimmunology class was the effects that the brain chemicals have on actually hardening the heart, causing a heart attack. So kind of interesting that that is a real thing. It's not just like, I know, scripturally they always say, oh, they have a hard heart. It's because anger hardens the heart. It actually does physically. Kind of interesting. So let's talk about the clinical, the most common. Now, again, this is a 20-minute. I'm not giving you like a full 12-page research paper, so I'm going to narrow it down to the top 3 clinical diagnoses you see with children who have been sexually abused. And that is depression, anxiety, and PTSD. And again, PTSD depends on the situation. But the stress is a baseline for that. Absolutely, stress, which ignites anxiety as well as PTSD and has an effect on depression. So those are the 3 most common clinical diagnoses. And if someone wants to be my little commenter, I would love for you to comment. I love that you guys are saying hi on the live Facebook. Thank you so much. I can see it coming up. I'm totally looking at it. But if someone could comment and maybe give the pointers that I'm saying here would be great. So the next thing that I talked about is the developmental the personality development that happens from those who are sexually abused, and those usually stem because of belief systems or thoughts like mistrust in adults or in whoever had abused you. Okay, so that's generally what develops personality-wise is be an introverted personality and a low self-esteem, low sense of self-concept or self-worth, and those are really those are just who you become. And it doesn't mean you can't change those. So just remember, just like that blanket, you can absolutely take off all the nasty fuzz. Might take some time, but it does work. And then emotion-wise or belief system-wise, the emotions that commonly plague those who are, have been sexually abused are, let me look at this. I was going to say something else, then I got sidetracked. Is distrust, like mistrust, anger, and shame. Now, again, there's lots of others, but those are 3 of the most common. So I want you just with this knowledge, whether you have personal experience or whether you know someone who has, but this is just a good way you can share this with them, share that there is hope, and also just have better understanding of where they're coming from and just the effects that something like this as a child that happens. Now, children, they don't know that it's bad. You think, well, why don't they just tell her? Why is there so many unreported cases? They don't know that it's bad. They think that they're bad for feeling gross or bad about it because adults can't do anything wrong in their world. So when an adult does something like that, they absolutely trust that that's correct and that the fact that they're feeling shame means that they're bad. So understanding where it's total twisted mindset, but you can untwist it. It's not a problem to untwist it, but it does take some time. And this is why it's good for the awareness that we're talking about here. Okay, so this is such a funny word to say, immunological effects. So the effects on the immune system is that children that have been sexually abused are sick more often because these types of emotions and anxiety do suppress the immune system. They find that they have surgery more often. They have an increased risk for chronic pain. I'm just looking at my notes here from my research paper. They have higher higher rates of cancer, fibromyalgia, IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, heart disease, headaches, and female-related health issues. So that could include bladder infections, ovarian, maybe cancer or ovarian issues, cysts, fibroids, those types of things. They have higher female issues. And you can see why, right? I mean, we can just talk about it logically. You're having things going on, touching maybe your feet. And the book said female, so obviously there are more females than males, but males do get sexually abused as well. And it can have issues on the male reproductive system, but the research that I found was highly done on females, there was more females that were sexually abused. So you can see something where you're feeling these negative emotions about that area. You can see why, I mean, just logically, you're going to have some issues in that area. Not always, but you can. So the effects of stress and anxiety, which happen with child sexual abuse, is it increases the neurotransmitters and neuropeptides and hormones in the body, and that suppresses the immune system. Like I said, stress is just that suppressor of the immune system, which causes you to be sick more often. And this can apply to many other realms. So let's talk about the treatment. I hope that helped just kind of give a little synopsis, or a little summary, I should say, of the effects of child sexual abuse in the body. But I want you to understand, like, just because that happened, it's not just like they start out with that blanket that I washed, that it may stick all over things, but it's absolutely, you can clean it off and be clean again. And that's what's wonderful about the healing process. So let's talk about a multidisciplinary approach. And so this means using different health providers for different reasons. I highly believe in a multidisciplinary approach. And I think it's important to do, especially if you're really focused on it, to do at least a few different therapies at a time. It's not just going to be helpful for you just do talk therapy or just do acupuncture, but you need to do the multidisciplinary approach. So the multidisciplinary approach from research that has been found to be helpful is talk therapy, because talk therapy is going to help them gain a sense of control and just being able to logically work things out in their mind, okay? That's one step of it. It's not the, all in all for healing, but it's a huge piece, because that sense of control was taken from little children when they are abused in this way. They just feel like they have no ownership or control, and they feel like their outside circumstances are just out of control. Some people may even become, as adults, just have, always live in overwhelm, like they have no control over their environment. Alcoholism is a big thing too, because they have no control over how much alcohol they drink. So you can see how gaining back a sense of control of their life is a huge healing process, or a huge effect. So that's talk therapy. The next multidisciplinary I would highly recommend is hypnotherapy, and this does access at root beliefs and is able to challenge and change those at the root. So I think that's a really important piece when you're ready for that. I'm going to do a Brain Talk Tuesday on hypnotherapy, because that's the course I'm in right now and learning more about it. And I did go for a couple sessions last week, which was really interesting. So I'm going to do a Brain Talk therapy or Brain Talk Tuesday on that in the next week or two. Another therapy that was studied to be helpful, which was for anxiety, was acupuncture. Another one was meditation, and this is because it calms an overactive stress response in the body. It also helps increase awareness, acceptance, and all this is going to help switch that blame. So when we blame people in any circumstance, no matter what happened to you, child sexual abuse, you think, well, of course we're going to blame somebody, but actually blame takes away your sense of control and your power. You do not have to blame. It doesn't mean you are at fault. There doesn't have to necessarily be a fault. Yeah, somebody abused you. Sad, so sad that they were in a state, a mental life like that they would do something like that. But who you become and your circumstances do not have to be blamed on that person, because that keeps your control away from you, and you're giving control still and power to that other person. So meditation, they showed, help with that, to regain that sense of awareness and acceptance, and to take away the blame, which then gives back that sense of control. So hopefully this is making sense, how I'm saying about it. And then let's see, the next one was yoga, but specifically, actually, yoga nidra was studied for child sexual abuse because it's a slower, more meditative yoga practice. It helps to restore balance to the body in the firing stress chemicals, and it uses mind and physical release for when you're dealing with these things. So again, it's more like a meditative, and you're just using the physical body to help release these stress chemicals. And yoga, I didn't realize this from my studies, I found it means yoke or union. So just being one with your body and mind, and really having that sense of control back. Okay, so yoga, what did I say? Yoga nidra, just FYI, is a slow and a meditative yoga. It's similar to a restorative, but they all are different. But just so you understand what it is, because we have it at my yoga studio. It's not one I take a ton, but I do like it. So psychoaromatherapy is our last section here for holistic treatment of sexual abuse. And I'm going to just give 3 different categories of, some research I did for this paper. So again, the root of these things are stress. So stress is what causes like the anxiety, the depression, as well as the PTSD is rooted at stress, and the immune system is suppressed with stress. So let's first look at stress. And the essential oils that help to attenuate, which means to intervene with the effects of stress, is limonene. And limonene, and a lot of essential oils actually, but I'm just talking about limonene today. So limonene is a compound found high in citrus essential oils. So you've got lemon here. So lemon has limonene, about 70% limonene. And then you've got orange, which orange has about 90% limonene. Grapefruit's about 90% limonene. One of my favorite blends is Citrus Bliss, and it's a citrus blend. So you've got a lot of limonene in here that's got orange, lemon, grapefruit, mandarin, bergamot, tangerine, clementine. So you can see like a whole bunch of citruses combined. So what limonene has been shown in studies to do is when cortisol is released, which is a stress hormone, limonene comes in and binds to that and reduces the cortisol excretion as well as the cortisol that was excreted in the brain, so that it doesn't attack the neurochemicals in the brain. So it's kind of like, it's like a shield going, no. You're not going to attack us today, and it blocks that cortisol, and then it tells the root of the cortisol, right, your adrenal glands, hey, calm down there. We don't need more of you. So it kind of keeps those armies at bay. So that's what limonene, and you can see this is a huge effect. So don't discounter just something simple as a citrus, because this is the base. Stress is the base to all other mental health conditions, because stress interrupts neurochemical firing. And if you can stop interrupting neurochemical firing, right, you can actually think better, you can have better behavior and impulse control, you have better focus, better mood. And so a couple other benefits of citruses, that's what I love about essential oils, is that they're also multidisciplinary. They interact in so many different ways. So citruses are good for stress, but they're also good for anxiousness. They help with GABA and glutamic acid. They help to modulate those or balance those out, which are affected in anxiety. And they also help with boosting the immune system. So they help with anxious emotions. They help with the stress level, anxious emotions. They help uplift mood. I don't know if I said that yet. They also help with uplift mood. And they help at the immune system level. So just citrus alone is multidisciplinary. I love that. So the way I would use a citrus is diffuse it. When I worked with kids that have been abused in my diffuser, I would just put some oils in there, some citrus oils, and just diffuse it. And it just helped our sessions, helped them be able to talk better and think better and focus better and feel in a better mood as we did therapy. Okay, next let's move on to, with anxious emotions, is going to be lavender. I'm just doing some basic oils. You don't have to have complicated plants to do this. Something like lavender, which is so simple, but it helps to calm the entire central nervous system, okay, down your brainstem, down your spine. And what that does, and you can actually put it on your brainstem and your spine. And what that does, it helps lower blood pressure, it helps to calm thoughts. Like if your thoughts are going a little wild, you can use lavender and you can just inhale it. Or you can put it, like I said, at the root of the spine here, which is actually your occipital point, which is a soft spot between your skull and your spine. So that's a really good one for calming anxious emotions. So I highly recommend this. You could also put a drop on your heart, just anywhere that you're feeling maybe needs some calming. Okay, last but not least, this is a new study I found, so I was kind of excited about this, and I put this in my research paper, is copaiba. Copaiba, I did a video on this as well as a blog, so you can go back and actually see way more details than I'm going to give you today on copaiba, but I'm going to talk about how it helps with anxious emotions and uplift mood. So copaiba interacts on CB2, which is a cannabinoid receptor 2 in the brain. Cannabinoid receptor 1 in the brain is psychoactive, so that's where your THC, your marijuana, interacts, and which is not healthy. What you want is to interact with CB2. And you know how I know a lot of people use marijuana and things for medicinal, for calming, but it's really interacting with CB1 and a little bit with CB2. Something like copaiba is way more calming because it interacts directly and only with CB2, so you do not get the psychoactive effects with CB1. So I have a blog and a video on this. You can find it on my Facebook page or my YouTube channel. And you can go to my YouTube channel and subscribe, and that way you get all my new videos that get posted, and that's Holistic Psych is my YouTube channel. Okay, so CB2. So copaiba interacts with CB2 and helps to uplift mood and calm anxious emotions. And this CB2 receptor is involved with the anxious and mood responses. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I'm going to just look at I got my paper I'm going to pull up right here and tell you. So I'm not going to read the whole study, but there was a study done. Now, they do these studies on mice and then examine the brain, right? But this one, what was interesting is they did all these different maze, all these different tests with the mice. They did an elevated plus maze test, open field test, marble. I just thought this was cute. I mean, they do this a lot with science, but marble burying test. So they're burying their marbles. I think that's so cute. And anyway, what they showed in all of the tests that they did with the mice was that every single test had a significant difference when they used the copaiba, so the beta-carotene, but copaiba, which is in copaiba, so beta-carotene, and they had significant increase in their ability to do these tests, and it said effect observed helped with an anti-compulsive like behavior was another effect of using the beta-carotene, right? That's its BCP, which is inside copaiba, which interacts with CB2. And it said the results suggest that by using BCP, so beta-carotene, which is in copaiba, it could be an additive treatment for anxious emotions and for uplifting mood. Okay, so I thought that was a great study. It's one I hadn't read yet. I get excited when I read new studies on essential oils. There's so many out there, so many to read, but hope that you can gain some little nuggets of information. Would love for you to type in your takeaways from today's Brain Talk, because those help me know what's important to you as well as helps us all remember. So if you can type in, whether you're watching the live version or the recording, what were some of your takeaways from today's Brain Talk Tuesday? And thanks again for joining me, and thanks again for your patience for my being less involved on Facebook, because I'm off social media with doing my doctorate. I get on every once in a while and kind of try to read things, but not on as much. So thank you so much, and would love to hear your takeaways. Brenda said she loved the oil info. Angel said useful information, and thank you. You're welcome, you guys. Great to be connected with you today, and just go ahead and share this so other people can get some greater understanding of how they can go from a messy, fuzzy, blanket mess to being, clean and healthy and thriving in today's world with whatever your past has brought you. It can absolutely make you better. You don't have to be bitter from it. it actually can be a big benefit for you when you let it. So, all right, you guys, thank you so much. Talk to you later. Bye. Have a good rest of your day.